Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this evening's guest moderator, Dalton Ross from Entertainment Weekly, and tonight's guest, Lily Collins.
Well, one of the things about Mortal Instruments, which is opening August 21st, is that you're taking a character here with Clary, who people have read the books, and this is an adaptation of that, and they have in their mind, here's what I think about this character, here's how I envision this character acting, saying, looking, everything. So you bring that to life on the screen. Is that more pressure in a way than just sort of a blank slate situation?
I mean, playing Snow White was one of the hugest honors because as a little girl, I wanted to be her. And like I said, I was a fan of the books before I was cast. So Cassandra wrote this character that I felt related to right away. I mean, she's really close with her mom. Obviously, she goes to fight for her mom, and I'm really close with my mom. So it's something that right away I just clicked with Clary on. And I just loved her personality so much. But I saw a lot of my friends in Clary. I saw, like, in all these fans that I've been meeting, I feel like Clary is someone that anyone could be. It's just I'm the actress that's honored enough to have been able to play her on screen. So there is a pressure to be everyone's idea of what she should be, but at the end of the day, I'm one person portraying a character that no matter who plays her, you're always going to have your own idea. You know, it's just their choice of me to play her. But I hope that I made her someone that's very relatable to everyone, and like I said, I'm one of the fans as well. So I'm only trying to honor what Cassandra wrote by also just putting a little bit of Lily in there, you know. And the Clary became the Clary that she became because Jamie was his Jace, Kevin was his Alec, you know, Robbie was his Simon. So half the character is created before we get on set, and then half the character is made up once we're all in the room because you feed off everyone's energy.
We've talked about this. I've asked you this before at various gatherings, ending in the word con, what Comic-Con, WonderCon, what have you. But I think one of the things that attracts a lot of people to this book series, and I can say this having a daughter that's read the books as well, is that this is a very strong female character. She enters this new world, she gets acclimated, and relatively quickly is able to really handle herself in that world. How attractive was that to you in terms of that character?
Well, what I love the most is that Clary goes through these like who, what, when, where, why questions every 5 minutes in the book, but now in the movie because it's condensed. So it would be so easy to have her be victimized, but she never allows herself to fall victim to anything, to the romance, to the drama with her mom, to the scariness of the characters that she meets, to the fact that she actually isn't just normal. You know, she takes everything with stride. She can be vulnerable, but she's always persistent and passionate and loyal and determined. And I think that the way in which she goes about this journey, not being defined by romance, you know, allowing there to be these comedic light moments in dramatic moments in the movie is different than other teen franchises that we've seen. She, like I said, she isn't defined by any romance. She cracks jokes in the middle of the movie when you kind of don't expect it, which kind of is a nod to the fact of the audience going, okay, this is a fantasy movie, maybe they're trying to take themselves too seriously. At that moment, we make fun of ourselves and go, we know this is just a movie. So there is this more lightness to it that I think Clary allows. But she also is asking tons of questions to the other characters to invite an audience in that may not have read the books. So if there's ever a time when the audience doesn't understand what's going on or doesn't understand a character name or what they mean, Clary is already beating you to it. And she's like, I don't understand what's going on. Not in an expositional way, but in a way of, again, she's one of you. So I really liked that she kind of pushes the story forward and allows herself to be weak, but never defined by her moments.
Lily, you know, obviously there's so many passionate fans of this book, like you yourself. And so does that make a project like this a little more personal to you? This isn't a script that just sort of landed on your door and you read through it and you liked it and you went in it. You were familiar with the material, you love the material, you get the part. How do you approach that maybe differently from other roles you've taken?
Well, actually, by this point, I think I've been attached to the movie for 3 years. I became attached to it Christmas almost 3 years ago, and then we did some readings with some Jaces, picked Jamie, obviously, and then it kind of went away for a little while. It changed hands, producer hands, director hands. I, in the meantime, went and did Mirror Mirror and 2 other independents, and then it finally came back around with the studio. And I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So I was able to sit with Clary for a little longer than I probably would have if we had just gone into filming. And at that point, I had spoken to Cassandra. I had been able to reread the book. The script had so many reincarnations. Even when we were filming, we'd get new pages every day. The ending of the movie was rewritten like a week before the end with Jamie and myself. We talked to Cassandra and tried to help rewrite the ending. And so it was kind of amazing to have extra time with this character. And again, like, I try to separate myself as actor and as fan and as Lily, because like in the series of books, which I know my fate, but as Clary, I wouldn't. So I want to go on the journey with her. So I can't know what I'm supposed to know as a reader. You know, at what point do you separate yourself? And at the end of the day, I'm so proud of what we did, and I love Clary, and I would love to play her for as long as people will have us. And thank goodness we're shooting the sequel next month, because we get to do it again. And I just feel like her story is too good not to see on screen. So I really hope that everyone kind of feels the same way.
It's a lot of people want to know, obviously, people are so passionate with these projects, and they want to know, how's it going to be different? You cannot, a book, just the 2 mediums, things will have to change. You have to condense, you have to combine, you have to take things out. Maybe something doesn't work on the screen the way it works on the page. So in terms of general terms, what can people, fans of the book, expect in terms of the DNA of the project or any sort of big, wild changes that they might see?
No real big, wild changes. Cassandra was very hands-on with this movie, with the storyline, the plot line, and so everything is Cassandra approved. So right off the bat, having her approval and her blessing on the script and the story and the movie kind of speaks volumes. It's obviously her baby, so as a fan, you want the writer of the book to love what we've done. I think you can expect the action to be even better than you're expecting. Of course, the romance is there. The greenhouse scene is just as magical as when you read it. Really, the special effects and everything are just the icing on top in this movie. It's really based on character and emotion, and that's what Harold wanted. He didn't want it to be this just visually beautiful movie. That's not going to invite a new audience in. When you watch a movie, you want to care about the characters, even if you don't know who they are. And I think you could watch this movie without any of the post-production and get the same value from it. And as a fan of the books, I really felt like, not since Harry Potter had I really felt that what was in my head when I was reading the books was on screen. And I really felt that watching it, because all the sets were there for us. It was very minimal green screen. So the essence of what Cassandra wrote really transcribed onto the page, from the page.
Was there a particular scene or location that you were really looking forward to sort of transporting to the screen and seeing how that what you built in your mind turned out to look once it was filmed?
Yeah, the Institute Library scene when I first get introduced to Hodge. I remember walking onto the set. I had to walk up all these stairs, and I was like, where are we going? And they opened the doors, and I just looked out onto this vast, it was like the size of this room right here. Literally, they built everything according to what Cassandra had written, everything down to like specific books that were in the library that were in the back of a shop behind a glass door that you will never see on screen, but just to have it there. And the depth of the sets and like the amount of hours, and then it just gets like torn down. It's like I wanted it transported to LA. I wanted to like live in it somewhere. It's that beautiful, and the attention to detail just prove that everyone on the set and everyone on the crew was so passionate about making it perfect. Like nothing went under the radar. And that set, to me, even when you see it, it's just so, the depth is there, and everything, and Cassandra will even attest to it, everything literally was the same. And that's the first set she walked onto and cried. And I know that I just stood there and I got tears in my eyes. And Harold was so funny because he walked on the set when Cassandra was crying, and he's like, oh my God, what's wrong? Did we do something wrong? Is it not there? And she's like, I'm just so happy. And so we just literally, that's like, it brought us to tears about how amazing it felt to be there.
How'd you like the redhead look, huh?
I was a redhead for Priest, and I had never colored my hair at all, and it was like my first entrance into like experimenting with hair color, and I felt feistier. Like it's a weird feeling to change your hair color, and then when I went back to being Clary, it like changed my personality a little bit. Like it definitely, there are fewer redheads out there than there are every other color, so automatically you feel kind of a little bit special, I guess. But it was so funny. There was so much talk on Twitter and Facebook how wrong my red was, how it wasn't as vibrant enough. And this is based on paparazzi pictures that are taken in the shade with my hair up. And they're like, it's still brown. I'm like, actually, no, it's red. And then I asked Cassie, I was like, Cassie, everyone has an opinion on the color red. Did we like not read it correctly? Like, what was it supposed to be? And she said, I never specified how red it should be. It's just supposed to be a tone of red. So that's everyone taking it into their own account, like how red. And I just find it fascinating that so much talk was about the red hair. But it is red.
And Cassandra Clare knows red. She knows red hair.
She has red. She's like metallic, electric. And she even had like purple in her hair on the mall tour. So she's all about color. So I got the sign off that my red was appropriate for Clary. So I felt fine about it. I liked it. I liked being a redhead.
Well, not to jump ahead to the sequel, but what can you say in terms of just where you're at with production? Obviously, you haven't started filming yet, but I mean, when
right.
The script and everything else.
We're still waiting a new draft of the script, but we go out there in early September to start training, and we're supposed to start end of September, so it's pretty full force.
Well, I've saved my final question as the most important one. Clearly, now you have an in with Cassandra Clare, who writes the books, The Mortal Instruments, and clearly she has one more book left to go. So what can you tell us? Have you tried to get any info out of her? Trying to get any to say, hey, come on.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. She was in Philly with us a couple of days ago, and she's not done writing the 6th book, but I think it's supposed to come out next year. But it was interesting because she was writing the book on the set of the movie. So she keeps saying, and this is from her, the movie's not necessarily like influencing the way she writes the books, but it is helping her acknowledge the characters' roots and where they came from. So like seeing how Clary was at the beginning of her stories helps her when kind of finding her fate at the end. But yeah, she's like totally top secret. Like even when she's writing on her computer, she's like kind of turns it to the side, or it's like any end of a series. Everyone wants to know, and it's her baby, so she's not revealing anything.
Under lock and key.
Under lock and key, yes. As it should be. I wouldn't want anything to be ruined.
All right. I want to thank Lily Collins for coming out today. I want to thank
you guys so
for coming
much.
out today. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you guys so much for showing up.